Hi guys, Michael Horn, Las Vegas again. Wanted to post the last video and make sure that it gets up there in case anybody's interested. One thing I wanted to talk about was some of our one of the tenets of social work is to understand ourselves, our biases, and kind of how those things can impact our practice. And for a long time in school, we're always taught how to address that, make sure that there's that we can kind of control the way we feel about certain things, whether it's, based on sex or based on color or based on politics or based on, you go figure. And an incident came up this last week at work, and I just wanted to kind of run it by you. So, I work at welfare, and welfare is that generic term for, food stamps, Medicaid, TANF, those kind of benefits. Considering that we're the only game in town, people can't go anywhere else and get these kind of benefits. They have to be served in our office. And going back to kind of some of the training the social workers and most professionals should have is that we need to be competent in separating ourselves professionally from some of the things we might think personally. Well, this situation came up, and some of the details are a little bit sketchy, but essentially it goes something like a client was assigned, a black lady, part of a two-parent household with a couple kids, was assigned to a white social worker, and I didn't even know that race was necessarily a thing, but after we ended up talking to, the client, what she said was from the moment that she sat down, she knew that her worker did not like her. And she dressed fine, looks normal, everything's fine. So you kind of think, well, maybe it's a race thing. Maybe the client is having issues, or maybe she's picking up on something that the worker might have projected in that moment. I don't know. In my opinion, this worker is not a racist type person at all. That's just not her gig. But my point was that clients do never select who their case managers are going to be. Case managers are assigned a number of ways by different supervisors, not the least of which is simply by numbers. In some cases, I do tend to get a lot of males because we have very few male social workers. In some cases, I do tend to get some unmanageable younger parents because I have that history of working with, adolescents in crisis and those kind of things. But in this particular case, the client was bent out of shape, and of course she had done things that, caused her to lose benefits, and of course everything comes on, race, complaining. But what I want to talk about was that I was talking to a black social worker during this whole client's appeal process and hearings and everything. And I asked her, I said, hey, so if this client does come back on benefits, what are the chances of maybe you managing her case so that would kind of take the wind out of the client's sails of alleging some sort of racial misconduct or, whatever. And this African-American female social worker said no. She says, I'm definitely not going to take this case. She said something that I thought was very significant. I think it's rather ignorant, but, I love this worker. I think that she's a phenomenal person. And she said something along the lines of, if I have to have someone like the last client I had who was obviously a white racist / Aryan / whatever we're calling them these days, as evident by tattoos on his face and swastikas, all this stuff by his cheeks and his eyes and whatnot. And she said, well, if I have to take on these clients, well, then the clients have to take who we give them. And my approach was that, but we're trained to be able to make those separations in our own personal life, in our work life. But clients don't clients may not have had an ability to look at themselves in critical ways and kind of see what role race plays in their life. And it just really bothered me that this worker was so adamant that based on race she should not have, a particular client assigned to her. Another argument I had was that, but we do it all the time. We have, we consider race, we consider language, we consider a lot of things. It's so awesome when we go to hire social workers because you know, sometimes they'll say, oh, we're hiring 2 African American workers, or a Hispanic worker, or an Asian worker, or whatever. And a lot of times these things are of great value because, depending on the client, they may need to have that rapport with someone that they can identify with. And I just thought it was maybe less than professional or whatever that a worker would stand their ground by saying, no, I'm not taking that based on race, even if, and whether it's true or not, the client would benefit from that. And I just wanted to know if anybody's had any experience with that, and if that's been a topic in your guys' agency. But, you know, open to all comments. So if you guys get a chance and you're going through some videos, just let me know. I appreciate it, and good luck to everybody. Bye.